Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Coffee of Elixir Czech Republic. Today we have the honor to welcome the team of Robert Perger from Faculty of Information Technology in Prague and Teresa Machachova and Jana Freeman, who will deliver a lecture about the data management. The story about data management is quite long. I think we conceived it with Robert and Honza Paches about 5 years ago, and Robert actually developed that idea into the great tool which is now actually offered on the Elixir platform. So we will now hear how to manage data, especially the data which has an attribute as a fair. And also we'll see how the data stewardship wizard can be used. So Teresa, please, floor is yours.
Thank you. So I greet you all on today's Friday Coffee. We will take a look at data management with Data Stewardship Wizard. First, what the data management is. It is an important part of projects, mainly research projects, because when you're working on a project, you usually need a funder to get some funding. And funder these days require a data management plan. It is a plan that says what, why, and how will be done to avoid any inclarities during project. It is not only important for the funder, so he knows how exactly the project is going and where he can find the data and how he can use them, but it is also important for you, so you don't forget anything and know where to find it, how to access it, and all these informations. It is essential to manage them correctly and have a good data management plan, because lots of new data are produced every day. It can be petabytes of data. Some are difficult to gain, talking about money or time, and some of them just can't be produced again. So it is important to store everything and not lose it. For example, not saving it on your personal computer, because you don't know what can happen and then the data will be lost. The data management plan shouldn't just be an extensive document with some long text created to satisfy the grant agency. It should also help you not only get in the fund, but also help you throughout the project. Different funders require different templates. That means that each funder may see some other questions more important, some less important, and you choose the template based on the funder you want. One of the best known templates are the Horizon 2020 and Science Europe. Here we can see a pre-flight checklist, and it is very similar to data management plans, because the pilots, before taking a flight, they go through the checklist step by step and check that everything is all right, everything is ready, etc., that nothing bad happens. And that is also the purpose. That is also the purpose of the plan, to step by step check all the things, that you didn't forget anything and that everything is all right, and you know where to find all the things, where to find the data. A Data Stewardship Wizard is an open source tool that was developed as a part of Elixir CZ research infrastructure, and it supports the data management planning with respect to current best practices. It is not a tool for just filling out the DMP, but for creating it for the following step by step that also helps you, and you can return to it for more information. And the tool has very good guidance, so it is suitable for everyone, not only for the data stewards that know everything about it, but also for the beginners. And as I said, it serves as the checklist before starting the project that you didn't forget anything. One of Data Stewardship Wizard's main focuses is FAIR data. FAIR data are a standard by Go FAIR initiative that says that the data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And what does it mean? Findable. When nobody can find that your project even exists, it doesn't really have a point. So it's important to ensure that others can find the data in your project. Accessible doesn't necessarily mean open. It just says when somebody wants to access the data, how should he do it? How can he access them? And if he needs some kind of authorization or authentication. Interoperability is the possibility of systems and machines to work with each other and communicate. And it is much easier if you don't have a long block of text, but rather some smaller parts, for example, answers of yes, no, or some numbers. And that's it. And reusability, here is the focus on licenses, for example, because when you can use the data of other projects that already exist, it is easier for you because you don't have to start from scratch. And thus we can all work together and not start from scratch all over. Everything will be better. But also this is impossible because there are wrong licenses used, or there are not clearly written, so you don't know if you can use the data or not. So the main ideas of Data Stewardship Wizard, as I said already, it's the minimum of writing. Data management plan is not an essay. There should be as little writing as possible, and that ensures also the interoperability. Then we have the guidance. We guide the users through the SMART questionnaire and we help them. It is also easy to edit and integrate with other services. Anybody can use it and create own content, whatever you need. And we are also strongly user feedback driven. We have a feedback service when you can share your ideas, and it can later appear in Data Stewardship Wizard because users want it. The educational aspect of Data Stewardship Wizard. I can explain this on a child that likes airplane, for example, because we had the pre-flight checklist. Let's say we have a child who likes airplanes. The kid has some toys, plays with them, also watches some movies and things. Yeah, it's not that difficult. There are some buttons, a lever. I can do it too. I could probably pilot a plane. And the kid is unconsciously incompetent. The kid doesn't know that he can do it. Then the child gets older and sees that it's not that easy. There are much more things that he has to know and take care of. That's the point where he becomes consciously incompetent. He follows his dream, go study to some school, and after he finishes the school, he knows everything and he becomes consciously competent. He knows that he knows how to do it, and after some time he becomes unconsciously competent. He doesn't even know he knows it. He just does it automatically. He doesn't really focus on it. And it's very similar with data management, because at first you might say that shouldn't be hard, that shouldn't be difficult. I work with data every day, nothing difficult on this. But then you see all the details you can forget, all the things like fare and licenses that you have to take care of, and the templates. And then you see that it's not that easy. And our point is to show you everything, how it should be done, and get you to consciously competent, and then with time you become unconsciously competent. Now let's see how to create a project. In Data Stewardship Wizard, it works in a cycle. It shouldn't be static, that you just make the plan and don't come back to it anymore. No, you should return in periodic cycles. As shown on the picture on the right, you have a question. With the help of integration, you answer it. Then there are some metric indications and evaluation. And after some time, you go the cycle again, answer some more questions or add some more details. So when creating the project, of course, you enter a name, then you choose a knowledge model. The knowledge model determines the questions and the answers that will be used. You can also select some tags, because the questions in the knowledge model are marked with tags. So this can filter some questions for you, but you don't have to choose any of the tag. Data management plan in Data Stewardship Wizard is done as a smart questionnaire. At first you can see some questions and some explanation. There are also links. Some are to Google, for example. And then we have the book Data Stewardship for Open Science that was written by Professor Barr and Mons. And when you click the link, it transfers you to the exact page of the book where it talks about this problem, and it recommends you what to do and what not to do. And if you choose that there are no pre-existing data, the other question, will you be using any pre-existing data, won't even appear. The question will only appear if you mark the answer as yes. So you don't have to fill all the questions that may become irrelevant for you. The other way of answering is through integration. As you type, the Data Stewardship Wizard shows you the possible answers and you choose one. Don't worry if there isn't the answer you need, you can just type it, you can just enter it manually. This helps because it links the answers to URI and provides metadata. So you don't have to enter all the informations about the funder, for example, every time, because you just enter the name of the funder, and then you have the URI, and there are all information about the funder. The key factor is the good guidance. So first, we offer some explanation that shouldn't be really long. Then we have the references that are the links and also the book. And then is the choice of options, the answers. As you can see, some of the questions are marked with colorful bubbles, and that's the FAIR metrics. This is the first FAIR metric, the findability. And in the first bubble, A, a domain-specific repository, it's green. That means that the first answer is the best for the findability. In the answer D, it is red. So that means that is the worst you can do for findability. Also, here we see that that B was marked as the answer. It's yellow, so not really bad, not really good. And because of this, the recommendation at the bottom appeared, and it tells you about the disadvantage of choosing this option and what you can do better. It can also be some kind of advice. The data stewardship wizard just try to help you. If you, for example, pick the A option that is the best, the recommendation won't even appear because it will just become irrelevant for you. Here we have indications and metrics. As you can see, there are the findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability. Those are the FAIR metrics. And then we also have the good DMP practice and openness, because accessible doesn't have to mean open. Accessible just states how you can access it and what do you need to access it. It doesn't mean that it's open. And thanks to the bubbles in the answers, it can tell you what you need to do better in your plan. For example, here we see that accessibility and reusability of this plan is very good, but interoperability and openness are a little bit worse. So the person can again cycle through the plan, through the questions, find the one marked with interoperability and openness, and check if they can do something a little bit different so it's better. Also, the project is divided into 3 phases usually. Also, the plan is divided into 3 phases, as you can see at the top. You see that in current phase there are answered all questions, but in total there are not all questions answered. It is because of the fact that the questions have a mark in which project phase they should be answered. And the project phases are before submitting the proposal, before submitting the data management plan, and before finishing the project. So before submitting the proposal, you don't necessarily know all that you will know before finishing the project. So you cycle and fill it through the time. Working on a project is usually a teamwork. So you can also work together with your colleagues on the data management plan. You can add them and give them rights as a viewer, an editor, or an owner. You can also send them a link and they can join and work with you even when they are not registered at the Data Stewardship Wizard. Here you can see in the right upper corner that there are in this time there are right now 5 people working on this plan, and it is very similar to Google Docs. You can see where the others are right now and what they are doing. If you don't know the answer to some questions yet, you can mark it as to do. It's the yellow bubble you can see in the right down corner. So you just mark it as to do and you can come to it later. After you finish with the data management plan or fill the questions you need, you can export it and send it to someone, for example, the funder. And you can choose the template. Right now, we have 3 templates, Horizon 2020, Science Europe, and Machine Actionable DMP. And you can also choose the format. It can be PDF, Microsoft Word, LaTeX, your choice. The questions in the questionnaire are not strictly given. You can customize them in the knowledge model, because the knowledge model contains the chapters, the questions, answers, references of the text, everything. Everything I showed you is in the knowledge model. And we have in Data Stewardship Wizard, there is a built-in knowledge model editor. So you can create your own knowledge model from scratch or edit the existing ones. For example, you want to add some new questions or delete some questions that are irrelevant for you and your organizations. You can just do these changes, save it, and use this customized knowledge model. You can also develop your own templates. They are not hard-coded, and so you have the possibility to change them and create new ones. For the ones that are interested, we have a video tutorial that is called Data Stewardship Wizard Template Development Kit. It is done via the scripting language of Jinja 2. So now we just got more familiar with data management planning. Some of you Some of you maybe didn't know anything about it until now. Some of you are probably experts already and work in that field. But you all reached at least the consciously incompetent level, and that is not a negative thing. Just remember Socrates and his famous line, "I know that I know nothing." So the next step is to just gain competency to work with data. Data Stewardship Wizard will help you, make it easy for you, and guide you on your way. And with time, you will be on the final stage. You can just try it after the presentation ends. Just fill out the questionnaire for your real or imaginary project. Yes, visit ds-wizard.org, our website, and start creating project and use the command Data Stewardship Wizard knowledge model. And then let us know how did it go and what we can do better. This is our core team developing the Data Stewardship Wizard. And I would like to thank you for your attention, for the opportunity to present here, and I would also like to thank for the support of Data Stewardship Wizard. Thank you.
Okay, Teresa, thank you very much for your presentation. We already have a few questions, so I will go through it and please answer according to the field. It's possible to gather information about Data Stewardship Wizard accesses from individual universities or institutions, and what those individual institutions should improve in their DMPs the most. So I suppose this is for Robert or for Teresa, I don't know.
Probably for Robert, if he doesn't mind.
Yes, sure. So the question is about the access to the service, if I understood it correctly, Karel.
Rather than the access to the service is whether it's possible to see what are the typical DMPs generated from that specific institutions, and therefore to see some statistics about how the people are using it and what they should improve at that specific university.
Okay. As for the accesses themselves, we have some monitoring, so we can monitor, for example, if according to email address, and then make some statistics of the users. However, we don't have access to the self-deployed instances, so then we don't know. And the most important or like real life stuff, of course, happens is in these self-deployed instances. So we don't have access to that. This is sort of like I'm not say confidential, but this is not public information. And by the way, thank you for asking, because we would be very interested in the community sharing with us some interesting like use cases about the usage and some, let's say, success stories with the data management plans. And we have some success stories of usages, but still we like something like examples of concrete, specific data management plans, because either users are, playing around in the demo instance or during the trainings, and when they start using it for serious, then this is a real project for real funding, and then this they don't share it outside, right? So this is problematic.
Karel kept asking, what is the minimal length of the sufficient data management plan? So I suppose that must be probably the example from someone who used the data stewardship wizard. What is the minimal length sufficient for, let's say, providers?
To satisfy the funders, then this can be, just a few paragraphs. But as Teresa explained, that this is not the way we go in Data Stewardship Wizard. We don't want to make or help users make just DMPs to make funders happy, but to make DMPs that are really helpful for planning the research and improving the research, not for yourself also. So for that, this is not about length, and this varies a lot. And as I explained, you can return to the and typically you do iteratively return to the wizard and fill in other questions as your experiment goes on. So this is really hard to answer, and I think this is not perfect KPI to talk about, but again, if you just want to satisfy the funder with having DMP, then it's enough to answer a few questions. And in the newest version of the wizard, we also have the indication that these are the questions that you need to answer to be able to generate, for example, the Science Europe DMP. So then, if you want to go minimalist with this respect, you can also do that in the wizard, but this is not the recommended way.
Okay, Robert, one practical question. If anyone from the auditorium now will be interested to generate the data management plan and would like to use the data stewardship wizard, what they should do? I mean, the practical steps. Should they approach you? Should they go into your web page? Should they actually install their own instance? What are the practical steps?
So you can go to the web, and there is a big Get Started button that will take you to the list of options that you have. To summarize them, you can start playing around in a demo instance where you can test all the features that Teresa spoke about, but this is not for serious work because it's public, and there is no guarantee that your data will be persisted, and also other people can see your data and so on. So for serious work as a researcher, you can use the researcher's instance that doesn't have the possibility of customizations, but it's used for the filling in the DMPs. Then the next option is to install the instance of Data Stewardship Wizard at your institute, at your hardware, and have full access to all the configuration, administration, and with the security, privacy, etc. And the last option is that you can contact us, and we can start an instance for you on the Elixir resources.
Okay. I don't see any other questions, so I suppose that you can contact Robert's team in the future with practical questions. And yes,
maybe Irka, here is one question. So there is a possibility to use the stewardship data management for processing of the data which are not the part of the management. So this is my question, because we need to utilize a lot of information from the NGS and so on. So if there is a possibility to connect.
I think it will be, I think, the best way to discuss that with Robert practically, because they can probably see the instance specifically for your case. So please get in touch with him, and I think it's solvable.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you. So
that's
we will, I think, in a few time connect and
Okay.
discuss this. Thank you.
Good.
yes. Let's talk about that.
So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for coming. So be ready for next week for another Elixir Friday Coffee. Have a good day and see you in a week. Bye.
Have a nice day.